Hello and welcome to another conversation with Glenn. We've got Glenn Beck here, Tiffany Siegel, Dan Andros. Glenn, you're coming off a week in Silicon Valley, which is, I think, confused a lot of people. Maybe not everyone quite understands what's going on there. So why don't you maybe just
Be more
explain
specific.
a little bit?
What don't they understand? What confuses them?
Well, I think they don't understand. Like, they don't see the connection of like, well, why is what's the significance of going to Silicon Valley?
Silicon Valley is the epicenter of revolutionary change, technological change, change in society, change in corporate America. It is the source. It is the source of the tension that we all feel in our companies. Everything is about to change, and these guys are really revolutionaries, and they are plotting their course. And I have said the whole world is up for grabs, and I'd rather be a part of those who are charting the course than those who are just going to live with whatever framework has been built. Here's the exciting thing about it that nobody understands, and the guys in Silicon Valley have come to me and really kind of talked to me about, and that is they want to know our audience. Now, I'm not talking about the Zuckerbergs of the world. I'm not talking about the guys who are writing the giant checks to President Obama. I'm talking about the new guys. I'm talking about the guys who have made some really, the Peter Thiels of the world. The people who are libertarians and freedom-minded and don't like what's going on in the government and feel alone because they don't agree with the GOP and they don't agree with the DNC. They're not, the guys who are like, hey, I'm coming over to your house, Mark. You got the president coming over. They feel alone. So they're looking for some allies. They're like, is anybody with us? They're like, yeah. I feel like I have two friends. You know how you have friends that they haven't met and you're like, you have got to meet. And they're like, no, I don't think, no, you don't know them. You two have to meet. I'm going to start putting people together so they can meet our audience and the audience can meet them because they are mind-blowing great. They are Jefferson, Franklin, Payne. I mean, they are the guys.
Yeah, and I don't know if you said this on the air or not yet, but you kind of floated this idea about that as it's somewhat of a, I would say, call it a sort of a real-world Silicon Valley situation that you've talked about, where you want to like set up a house or
like real-world MTV.
Yeah, and sort of be out there for a little while. And what would you, if you haven't explained that, maybe just explain what you'd want to accomplish while you're out there.
Here's what I want to accomplish. I was having a dinner with 12 different guys the first night I got there. I was blurry-eyed and tired. You know what I'm like at 9 o'clock at night, and this was 9 o'clock Pacific time, so midnight Eastern. Not a good thing. I'm not good. And I sat down at that table and I was wide awake and wired listening to them. And you also know me. I generally dominate the conversation.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And this conversation, I would just ask questions and people would start to talk. And several times I just sat back and I just covered my mouth and I just kept saying, oh my gosh, listen to these guys. And at one point, one guy, they're talking about the future and what's coming. And at one point, one guy was saying, no, you don't understand. The currency doesn't matter, and Bitcoin can help this, and it will help the NSA. And another guy jumps in, but what about the NSA on this, and blah, 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 blah. You don't have to worry because all of this stuff is going to change. And I don't even know what the government's going to look like. And another guy jumps in, this guy, a big beard, looks like he just got up out of bed. I mean, a billionaire, but just totally like, hey, what? And he's sitting there and he's listening to these guys and he goes, no, you guys are just throwing out the Constitution. You don't just throw out the Constitution. No, we're not throwing out the Constitution. We're just saying that the government's going to change. It'll be more to the Constitution. The Constitution was a sacred document. That Constitution was inspired. We've got to have in Silicon Valley, they're talking deeply about the Constitution of the United States of America and how to beat the fascists all around the world. America has to hear that conversation.
So here's my question. It's very obvious what they can provide to our audience.
I don't think it is, because it's not even obvious to me.
They have a lot of knowledge they can
Yes.
share. You want to pair them together. So my question is, what is it that you think they get from us? What is it that we can kind of teach them? What are they missing?
I think they're missing the God element.
Okay.
I think they're missing, it's not that I didn't see any godless heathens, you know what I mean? And I don't know where any of them stand. I know a couple of them are atheists. I know a couple of them are religious, but we didn't just talk about religion. So I think they kind of just don't pay attention to that. And my guess is, and I don't know this, but my guess is they think because of the media and everything else, just like we think Silicon Valley are all evil, big elitist, socialist, whatever. I think they think we're all Westboro Baptist Church.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Oh, well, we hate them gays. And so they don't know. They don't know. We've got to get these two groups together, because what they stand for is leave everybody alone, right? Let's just leave everybody alone. Let's remember who the enemy is, and the enemy is fascism. That's the enemy. We don't want totalitarianism. We don't want fascism. We don't want somebody in our life controlling our lives all the time. And their technology can free us. And the guys I met with don't care. They don't care if you're straight or gay, you're religious or an atheist. They'll live right next door to you. They don't care.
They're afraid that you care. Because didn't you have a moment at a podcast where the first question they asked you about your friendship with Peter Thiel?
No, it wasn't the first question. It was into it, and he just said, it was Tim Ferriss, and he said, "You're friends with Peter Thiel?" Yes. He's a libertarian? Yes. He's also gay? Yes. How do you feel about that? And I wanted to say, I don't have to kiss him, do I? I mean, because that's the only reason why I care. If I'm going to be forced to kiss him, then I care. But what I said was, I don't care. What difference does that make? And what was telling was, it wasn't a gotcha question. He was really trying to figure it out. In a week, I didn't get one gotcha question. I spoke at Stanford University with 300 people in the audience. Not a single gotcha question. There were gotcha people in the audience. My wife and security sat right behind a group of guys who were, copiously taking notes, trying to get ready for a gotcha question. No opportunity. There was no opportunity. So there was no gotcha question. He just wanted to know. And when I said, it doesn't matter. And let me say this. What matters is, don't tell me what my church has to do, and I won't tell you what church you have to go for or go to, or what you have to believe. And when I asked, this is a different conversation from Tim, when I asked somebody else, how do you feel about the bakers? Do the bakers have to make wedding cakes? Oh my gosh. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is their religious right. They do not have to make a wedding cake. How do we not agree with those people?
Yeah, and that's interesting that conversation is being had there, because when you watch the conversation on the national stage with anybody who's a possible candidate, it's, well, they're trying to get the seal of approval or the kiss of death on a candidate by asking them those gotcha questions, like, where do you stand on gay marriage, and where do you stand on and like, they're not asking it out of a sincere, hey, what do you really believe? They're trying to destroy them. So it's not a two-way street right now. It's, well, if you don't believe this, the people who are saying they want to be sort of inclusive are saying, if you don't believe it, you're out. They're going to push you on the outside, which is why it's good to hear that conversation is happening.
It was really good. I was thrilled because, as I announced on the air today, or this week, I have met with one of the biggest gay organizations in the country, and not one that anyone would expect me to meet with. And we talked about fascism. I called for the meeting, and I wanted to talk to them about fascism over in Europe and in the Middle East. We've got to stand together on, let's not crucify or stone to death homosexuals or throw them off the roof or take away their driver's license. How about we could get together on that one? And when I was in that conversation, the first question that was asked of me was, well, how do you feel about the bakeries? And my response there was, are you listening to what I'm saying? They're stoning people to death. I think we can get to the bakery question a lot later. Let's get the stonings to stop. Let's get the driver's license back in Russia. Let's make sure people are aware of what's really happening on human rights. So I expected somebody to not say, no, you have a right because it's your religious First Amendment right. When I heard libertarians in Silicon Valley say that, I can get along. I'm not going to get into your bedroom. Don't get into my church. Because what I do in my personal life, I'm sorry, but I can't imagine anyone wants to be born a pariah. And that's what you are. If you're a homosexual, for years and years, for centuries, you were a pariah. Okay? It's changing now, thank God. But that's what you were. Who chooses that? I don't choose to be, I choose to believe the things I do about God? I feel I'm so driven by what I do, by God. Because of my belief in God, I have a belief in this country. You can't tell me to shut up. You can't tell me to change my point of view. It's not a choice with me. It's it's who I am. And that's why my First Amendment right says you can't change that, because I can't. You're going to have to kill me if you want me to deny the things that I believe God is telling me to do or say. You're going to have to jail me or kill me. I can't change that. But I don't think gay people choose their sexuality. I mean, I know I didn't ever go, you know what? Okay? And I think we're all basically the same. So leave people's deep personal convictions and choices alone. Just let people be cool. We can all get along.
And out of everything you shared last week online, you know what the most popular Facebook thing you did was?
I know what it was.
I don't.
I'm guessing, but the 80s, is it the 80s?
The what?
Jumping up in front of the Full House.
Oh my gosh.
Very funny. Good
And you know, John Stamos was there like an hour later.
And you didn't wait?
I didn't know. Who knew? Who knew?
Does he still show up thinking they're going to film? Is that what?
Yeah, it was. We got there, and there's so many people taking pictures of it, and it's just a line of people taking pictures, and they're all like, just taking a picture of them in front of the house, and Tanya was like, "This is stupid," and I said, "No."
Yet you waited in the line.
No, we just found another place. And I said, "No, this is stupid. Let's jump on 3. Somebody take a picture."
You guys timed it pretty well.
Yeah,
Thank
it was a
you.
pretty good picture.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. We planned it.
Good.
Cool.
It was good.
All right.